Last year, the very soul of Bangladesh trembled. What began as unrest became a tidal wave, a movement etched into history as the July Revolution. In the sweltering heat, hundreds of thousands flooded the streets, demanding change and an end to Sheikh Hasina's 15-year grip on power. Out of the turmoil, a familiar face emerged, Nobel Peace Prize winner Professor Muhammad Yunus, who was called upon to guide a wounded nation and step into the role of interim leader. I sat down with him during his first visit to the United Kingdom since taking that job, not just to ask questions, but to understand what it means to rebuild a country from the edge. Professor Yunus, you are an esteemed academic. You've won the Nobel Prize. Why did you decide, when you got the phone call in August of last year, to take on this role and lead Bangladesh during what is such a historical moment?
Well, the fair thing would be I didn't decide. Decision was imposed on me because I was trying to plead with them that this will not be a thing I should do. Why don't you find somebody else who's more capable of doing that? And that's it. But they keep calling me back again and again. So the third day, finally, they pleaded that so much thing has happened. We need someone to guide us on that. And with their assertions, with their persuasion, finally I said, okay, you have sacrificed so much. And I kept repeating my inability to do that. But okay, I'll go ahead and do it for you. Okay.
What is it you're hoping to achieve?
Restore peace and order. That's the immediate thing because there's a whole country up in flame at that time. So that's also part of their plea. They said, we still don't have a government. For 3 days, we don't have a government. So it's very urgent that you come and do that. I said, okay. So restore order is the first thing. It's coming from an uprising. It's, everything is open. And I appealed to people as soon as I arrived that calm down, go back to work, and start all over again. That's and luckily people responded to it because they were ready for it. They saw someone in charge. Finally, we have a government. And I was very happy with that. Then I started seeing what I need to do, what I'm supposed to do. So we started discussing the immediate goals and ultimate goals. And those things came later.
One of the pressing issues that currently faces Bangladesh are the allegations against the previous administration, in particular Sheikh Hasina. Some of those allegations are, of course, incredibly severe: mass murder, torture, corruption, kidnappings.
Endless list.
A very long list. She is currently being looked after by India. She's being protected in India. You met with Narendra Modi in April. Did you speak about it directly with him, and did you press the need to have her return to Bangladesh?
Yes, I did. I discussed it with him directly, one-on-one. He said we have done it before to other leaders in situation like that, so we feel it's our obligation to do that. Then I said, well, you want to host her, that's one thing, but allowing her to address Bangladeshi people on the airwaves and creating tension and extreme form of discontent in the country because of her talking to the people in Bangladesh. I said, at least you can help me to stop that.
What did he say?
He said, with the social media, I have very little control over it.
Does that make your relationship with India more difficult?
Not difficult. We always look for a best of relationship with India. We never made a compromise on that. We want to have that. But we have kind of issues that comes up. Fake news is one of the things that bothered us a lot. Sheikh Hasina's speeches addressing to Bangladeshis is extremely unhelpful to us. So these things we keep raising with them to see how they can be done. They said that we don't have control over social media and the press either, that they can say anything they want. But definitely the government, India is not involved in it.
Traditionally, India has been Bangladesh's closest, if not one of the closest allies that you have. Yet for your first international visit, you chose to go to China. Were you sending a message there that you think Bangladesh's future lies being closer to Beijing than it does with Delhi?
one of the first thing I did to approach India that I would like to come, please help us to set up a date. They didn't respond. So we're waiting and waiting. In the meantime, I was going to China for Boao conference, Boao conference. For Boao Forum, that's what I was looking for, Boao Forum. And I agreed long back, even before I started my work in interim government. So they keep reminding me I'm supposed to be one of the speakers in there and so on. They're waiting to hear, see that I go through it. So they keep repeating it. And finally I said, okay, I'll come. And I passed on this news to ambassador from China. I said, I'm going to Boao Forum. Then the ambassador said, well, we'll see how we can use this trip to bring you to Beijing. I said, I'll be very happy if you can do that. So that's how it happened.
So it wasn't an intentional
No,
decision.
it's not intentional. I was not even thinking of going to China as a kind of visit on a political level. This was done long back. Boao Forum, I agreed, which I do all the time, attend conference. That my life was. So this is part of that life. And when I went to Boao Forum, Beijing let us know that President Xi will send a plane for you so that you can be brought to Beijing. So that's how it happened.
So under the previous administration, I think it's fair to say they had a bit of a hostile relationship with you. There was a case that was put forward to the Anticorruption Commission around money laundering. That was acquitted by a special court days after you were sworn in. Are you conscious of what that looks like from the outside looking in?
Yeah, I'm conscious about that. Somehow, relationship with Hasina never went well with me. He always targeted me. Every occasion she attacked me. She has a series of legal cases and so on. In total, I have about 200 cases against me. So I'm going one court to the another for doing that. And I was not expecting that someday it will end. I said it goes on and on. This is part of my life.
But a case being acquitted days after you come in, it raises
None
eyebrows.
of them has any basis. It's about corruption, transferring money. It's all fake things. It's all about harassment. And the case continued and didn't find any basis for those cases. They just dismissed it. Because the real court will not treat them. Because it's a fake court, fake things, and everything went their way, whatever they wanted to do. So since it has no legal basis, I'm not pursuing them. It's a court did whatever they wanted to do.
I want to ask you about the elections in Bangladesh. I think that's a big topic that's going to take up a lot of your time in the coming months. You've set a date for April of next year. Can you guarantee that that date will not change?
Nothing in life can be guaranteed. I mean, we announced it and we are very serious about it. We want to pursue that date, make sure. People were wondering when will the actual date for election, because they were worried whether there will be election at all. They are worried that I may continue forever because nobody wants to stop me. So they are worried on many grounds, whether I'll continue and for years and years.
Will you run? Will you continue?
No, I'm not a politician. I'll be eager to hand over the responsibility and go back to my work, which I left behind. So that's not what people believe. That people believe that he will continue and run the country. It's impossible to get him out, etc., etc. So I said, look, earliest it will be December. The early thing I announced is early is December. Latest will be the June of 2026. Within this, we'll do that. We will never cross June of 2026.
It will not be later than
It
that.
will be not later than that, because they're worried that I will continue. Well, some people at least continue.
There are some that want to see it earlier. They want to see it at the end of the year. They say that April is not a suitable date because of...
Oh, there's a lot of talk about it. They're always toying around with different dates. But my position was December to June. And finally, recently I announced that a specific date, that it will be in April.
There are some who believe that businesses and investment is being delayed until this election because companies are unaware of who the next leader will be and whether things will change. Are you concerned that delaying the election is harming Bangladesh?
I don't think so. People are very happy to come to talk to us. See, their worry is, will that continue after the election and so on. But they want to do business. Wherever I go, business people come over to discuss investments, plan their things, and visit Bangladesh. Many people come over to Bangladesh already. We have investor summit. Hundreds of investors came. Recently, Chinese Commerce Minister came. He brought with him 150 investors from China. So all this discussion going on. From your first visit at the highest level to come to the fruition of a finally opening a production level, it takes a long time. So they have to plan and see what's happening. I don't think everything will be solved by election. Even after election, find out what kind of government you got. So they will make sure what the investors would like to see, the security, safety of their investment.
One of the metrics that you will be measured by is how this election is run and whether it is free and fair. How do you guarantee that it will be?
Well, my own interest would be to make it absolutely an election which will be outstanding, remembered in history that he organized a good election. That's my kind of attachment.
How do you do that?
I want to do best possible. Under the circumstances, I will do everything possible to make it the best possible election.
Do you open it up to the United Nations and international?
Yeah, everybody will be invited. It will be festive, the way we call it. It will be a festive election. It will be fun to do that. Remember this date. You know, those festivity will come naturally. Young people who are becoming first-time voter in their life couldn't vote. For the last 16 years, they couldn't vote in any election. So there's an accumulation of first-time voters from 2015 and so on and on, 3 times missed elections. And the new generation of people will be qualifying for the first-time voters. It's a huge number of new voters. Celebration will come from them automatically. First time we are voting, deciding what the country should be.
But Bangladesh has had a fair number of elections in the past, but there have always been allegations that those elections haven't been free or fair.
There was no election really. I mean, free and fair, you're wasting your words. This is fake thing. Nobody was expected to come. So you announce your own results and so on.
How do you ensure, as you walk away, not just for this next election, but for the next 2, 3, 4 elections, that in the future that we don't go back to a situation
absolutely,
where
that's the whole goal. That's where our responsibility of the interim government comes in. We are committed on 3 things as we run the government. This is our objective, this is what we have to deliver. First one is reform. The machine, the rules, the procedures, institutions that we build is not good for that. Good for producing good election, running the country in a transparent way. So we have to reform all these institutional arrangements that we have. That's the reform agenda that we got. In order to implement that, we constituted a series of commissions. Election Commission to study and recommend, not the Election Commission which does. This is the Election Commission which will be recommending the ways and means of running an election, what to be done, what to be avoided. Another one, Constitution Commission, redesign the whole Constitution, the root of all the problems in the Constitution, root of all the problems in the election. So unless you clean it up, you make it a new setup, you are not producing any new future government different than what we have in the past. So reform agenda becomes a very important thing. We have more than a dozen commissions. They come up with the recommendations. And then we've created a new commission. We call it Consensus Building Commission. So you have hundreds of recommendations coming from all these commissions. You have to choose, discuss with all the political parties which recommendation you will accept. Because not everybody is going to accept everything they're recommending. So we go back, have a negotiation with the parties through this commission, consensus building. Their aim is to see which are the recommendations were agreed by all parties. The more you can put in that list, all parties agree, the more strong we get. So that process, phase 1 has ended. Now phase 2 has begun. We have many items which with the consensus of all parties.
And you think you can finish this before April?
Yeah, that's what I'm coming to. So we'll be finishing in July. We'll have all the recommendations made and accepted by all parties, put in a separate piece of paper. These are agreed by everybody. And invite all parties to sign up that yes, we agree. And it will be known as July Charter. So our first part of reform agenda is over.
July of this year?
Yeah, just July, the next month. So we'll have that celebrations that we all have this. And then we prepare for the election. That's our next agenda. Now that we have an agreed things, and we'll see where are other secondary agreements, all parties except one party disagreed. That's also kind of a big progress. And we try to negotiate. This negotiation that is going on now, the phase 2, is to see if we can get some of the parties to agree on the last point, put it in the charter itself. So we'll have the election. So we decided the election will be a date announced, April, and so on. And the other one is the trial. Trial all the perpetrators, all the horrible, horrible things that have happened, all the massive corruption that has happened. We have started this process. So we'll continue with those.
Talking about those trials, your election commission has suspended the Army League's licence. This is the oldest party in Bangladesh. We know those trials for the most senior members of that party are ongoing. Do you think as an institution the Army League should be allowed to participate in the election, even if you are trialling those who are responsible for those alleged crimes?
What we have done to begin with, because of the tension it's creating, Awami League is being directed by Hasina sitting there, and they have huge amount of money in their disposal, both inside the country and outside the country. And they can mobilize people by exciting people with these addresses and so on. And it's happening. There's a tremendous voice against this attempt to destabilize the country. So one of the decisions we have taken to suspend the activities of Awami League temporarily. It's not a permanent thing. And then we decide after the trial is done, what has to happen now to the party and so on. That's the second part. But at the moment, it's a temporary suspension of that. So this is where we are at right now.
Do you think that as an institution they should appear on the ballot paper? There are some who say it's right for you to prosecute those who have committed crimes. But
that will be an activity that under this law, under this present situation, probably not allowed. I mean, you cannot have your activities in the country. It's suspended.
So, someone else for whom there's been an arrest warrant is Tulip Siddiq. She's a former minister here in the United Kingdom. Do you think she should come to Bangladesh to face those accusations?
She should. I mean, if she has allegations against her, she should appear and face the trial.
Have you raised that with the British government?
No, we sent the notice on corruption charges. That has been delivered to her. So she has to deal with the process of law.
Tulip Siddiq says that she's written to you, asked to meet you during this visit. She says this is all a big misunderstanding. Will you meet with her, or have you spoken to her?
No, I have not spoken to her. I took it as a legal process, so it should be done in a legal way. I shouldn't get involved in that. It might confuse everybody.
She says her lawyers have reached out to the Anticorruption Commission.
Right.
She says that she's not had any response back. She says she has no business interests or property in Bangladesh. She says that this warrant is politically motivated and has called it a smear. What is your response to that? It's
a legal process. Her lawyer will say this, and a lawyer from Anticorruption Commission will rebuttal that, and that's how the legal process is resolved.
Is it something you would like to raise with the Prime Minister here?
No, I should not ask the ongoing legal process. It's a judiciary's job, not my job.
You're in the United Kingdom. You've not met with Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister.
Not yet.
Why is that the case?
I have not get the appointment yet to make that happen.
Do you think the fact that there is an arrest warrant for one of his former ministers is contributing to the fact that he's not met with you during this visit?
That will be a speculation. I should not get involved with.
What has your relationship with the British government been like since that arrest warrant came out?
We have no problem. So far as the British government is concerned, extremely supportive, even in terms of asset recovery. They're very helpful. Their agencies are helping us a lot. Without their help, we cannot proceed an inch. And they are providing all the help needed with enthusiasm and support.
So, someone else who's in the United Kingdom is Tariq Rahman, a senior figure with the BNP. Reports suggest you're going to meet with him while you're here. Are you meeting with him? And if you are,
I'm looking forward to it.
What are you looking to achieve from that meeting?
I don't know, just to have a chat with them.
What will you ask him?
I'll talk about whatever he has to talk about.
He's likely to push for you to call the election slightly earlier.
I'm sure he will tell whatever his party wants to tell, and I'll explain what I do, how we respond to them.
Another one of the major issues here in the United Kingdom is the foreign aid budget. It's been cut quite substantially in the last 10 years or so, and there are suggestions it's going to be cut further. How much of an impact is that having for Bangladesh?
So far as Bangladesh is concerned, about the size of the aid, the size of assistance, to give you an idea, our estimate, the white paper that we published, $234 billion has been siphoned off from Bangladesh. It was a huge, huge amount. And we're still surviving. I mean, we're functioning. We're going around to restore the economy and so on. Even if the foreign aid declines, compared to what loss we had, this is nothing. So we are not worried tremendously about that. But we would like to improve that so that we can go more mileage to proceed in the right direction and so on. But that doesn't mean that if a reduction happens, everything will fall apart. That's not the way it is happening.
There's debate in the United Kingdom about whether the impact of changing that foreign aid budget will have an impact on the UK standing on the world stage, whether if that budget is cut, the UK will be less influential than it was previously. In your experiences, do you think that's accurate?
I wouldn't say that that would be accurate, because it's not the foreign aid itself. There are many other things. Governments can help other nations and so on with the experiences and wisdom and many other things, and kind of investments. Aid is one part. The real thing is the investments. The more investment you can attract, the better it is, build your economy. So I wouldn't say that suddenly this will create lots of problems. But again, to give concrete example where it hurt us very much, USAID stopped all this funding after Trump came into power. That hurt immediately Rohingyas. Their feeding program kind of suddenly see that nobody is financing it. So that's immediate. See, this is very real, concrete, day-to-day thing.
And it opens a gap for someone else to fill it?
Absolutely. Now we have to go around somebody to fill it, because Bangladesh cannot feed all these people. So we have to. And it was an understanding with the international community that the international community will take care of those people. Bangladesh was allowed to stay there within the country.
Who has filled that gap?
The European Union is one country which came forward and helped us, and many other countries were supporting. And gradually we need more support. This is a short support. We need the full support to do that. So this is one. The another one, just one USAID problem I was just talking. One of our premier research organization, ICDDRB in Bangladesh, which invented the cholera treatment and so on. And it's an international organization in the sense that it provides support to international communities on many, many health issues, with hundreds of researchers involved in that, international researchers involved with that. After this announcement, they couldn't find money to pay their salary anymore. So we don't know what happened. So we are scurrying around that we have to save this international organization. And luckily, temporary solution we found that somebody will fill the bill. But we need a permanent solution for that. USAID was taken care of ever since it was born. It was one of the top achievements of USAID that they have created such an institution, helps people, particularly poor people. Now we need somebody to support. So just one decision by USAID hurt Rohingya, hurt our...
Big impact. Climate change is obviously a huge issue for Bangladesh. It's also a topic that's discussed a lot in the United Kingdom. Over the next 25 years, there's estimates that Bangladesh could lose 17% of its territory because of rising sea levels. Here in the UK, there's a lot of debate over whether net zero and climate change policies are a good idea because of how much they cost. Are you concerned that that debate is going on in the UK, and what would be your message?
I'm very much concerned. Our survival is at stake. You just gave the number. how much land we'll lose. Losing land, one part that you see visible, and you see Bangladesh population is increasing, Bangladesh land mass is decreasing. We are in a very difficult situation in that. But even whatever land you end up with, salinity gets into that land. Because saline water, now the sea level rising, is entering, and it becomes incapable of being used for agricultural purposes. So if you're not producing your food, farmers had a whole livelihood, and the country doesn't have enough food to feed itself, and so on. So it comes in many different directions. Our forest gets affected, our mangrove forest, which is a big support for us, because with that mangrove forest we protect from tornadoes and things that are happening from the south, stop them, slow them down, and so on. So we are in a big crisis situation. So we appeal to UK government and other governments
to do more on climate change?
Continue and do more. That's precisely what it is. Until we have solved the issue environment. Because environment issue is not just protecting in one country. It's a global issue. You have to protect the whole world in that. If you don't, we are done. It's finished.
And my last question to you is, you've had a very successful career. You are one of the most decorated Bangladeshis in history. You've won the Nobel Prize. You've now led the country. What is your wish for Bangladesh as you now step away from this role? And as we approach this election, will you endorse any political party, or will you stay neutral?
Oh, that'll be dangerous to endorse any political party, because then the bias comes into the whole election. People must understand that we are not favoring, we are not biased to one party or another. Our job is to create an environment where anybody freely can vote for anybody they like, without fear, without favor. That's the guaranteed things we do. So this is something that we want to make sure that it happens. And for me to play a neutral role, making sure that the law and order situation is kept, so that anybody who's trying to disrupt election, we can catch him, restrain him, and so on.
What is your hope for Bangladesh as you step away?
Bangladesh is a wonderful country. The more you come close to it, you'll realize that it's a fantastic country, one of the country which can contribute not only for Bangladesh, for the whole world. It's a small territory, packed with 180 million people and growing. And half the population of this 180 million is under the age of 26. Young population. Not many countries in the world has that young population. That young population, which is the most powerful generation in human history. Not just Bangladesh. This whole young generation, entire world. This is the most powerful generation in the history of mankind, because of the technology they are born with. As babies, they are touching things to see things happen. They imagine that touch makes things happen. And they can really make that. They have Aladdin's lamp in their hand. So I said, all we have to do, let them imagine the kind of world they want. They make it happen. And this is the hub of those creativity and all the things that they can lead the whole world in that creativity, in that imagination, make it happen. So that's what Bangladesh is all about.
Professor Yunus, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.